Welcome in, everybody. How are you?
Hello.
I'm Devon O'Day.
I'm Bill Cinque from Los Angeles.
See, I'm on the third coast.
Yeah,
We're on
exactly.
the second coast. See, all we need is someone in New York, and we'll have all three coasts all taken
That's
care
true.
of,
That's very true.
or New Orleans, and then we get that other coast. How are you today?
I am well. I'm making just a casual adjustment here. Without getting political or anything, I just wanted to make sure that, as many of our viewers probably know, I wear a peace sign pretty much every day of my life.
Yeah, yeah,
Today, I wanted to wear a bigger one so there's no doubt that I'm all about peace. We don't have to go into the news or anything, but just wanted to say now more than ever, that's got to be as loud as possible.
yeah,
So
yeah. Give peace a
that's
chance.
that's
Yeah.
me.
Uh-huh.
So our topic for today is what, Devon O'Day?
You end up where you focus. And by that, I used to play golf. I say that because it was fine, it was
Hmm.
all right. I enjoy golf. I enjoy watching golf because it makes me relax and fall asleep. I just love it. It just
Okay,
makes
fair
it
enough.
makes me happy. And I love certain golfers a whole lot. But someone told me one time when I was hitting, they said, where you focus your eyes, where you look is where the ball will go. And I go, well, I'm looking down. They said, yes, but when you move and you move up, you focus and there's this motion. And if you're looking off to the right, your ball will go off to the right. If you're looking off to the left, your ball will go off to the left. Where you focus is where your ball will go. That is the same way with life. Wherever you focus, that's where your mind goes, and that's where you end up. And what that brought about in my little pea brain of thought process is, how much time do we waste with revenge thinking? One day I'm going to succeed and I'm going to just stick it to them. One day I'm going to be in charge and I'm going to fire them. One day, and it's always this. And when that is your focus, it's certainly not peace.
Well, yeah, that's a great segue. Um, there's a term that we use sometimes, and it's called elevation. What elevation means is this: uh, you make $100, so I feel the need to make $110. Now, that's different than self improvement. Self improvement is me looking at my bank account saying, okay, I did okay this week. I'd like to make more next week. I'd like to work harder next week. I'd like to smoke 5 less cigarettes next week. I'd like to lose 10 pounds in the next year. That's self improvement. The uh, competition will turn to vengeance and revenge and these kind of things. So exactly what you're saying is, when you put your focus on the negative, it's a pretty easy equation. We know how that one's gonna end up, and it's not pretty. And to answer your question directly, when you said how much time do we spend, the collective we, how much time do we spend with that kind of thinking? I think the answer is oodles of time. Way too
Even
much
if
time.
even if we don't voice it, even if we don't say it out loud, it's something that takes up our mind space. And whatever takes up our mind space takes up our creative space, it takes up our future planning, it takes up our joy, it takes up all of that. And now let me say, there are justifiable reasons to be unhappy with people, to be angry with people, justifiable reasons not to like people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you have to go be back best friends with someone who has taken your creative work, put their name on it, and succeeded with it. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if your focus becomes to have vengeance on those people, you might have 5 scripts that you could write that are going to be way more successful than the one they stole. But you never can get to that place if you're focused on, how can I get even with them? It's something about it. You cannot have revenge and creativity living in the same capsule very well.
Oh, that's very well said, because when you're talking about creativity, um, creativity can come out, can blossom in 100 different ways, but it doesn't really get created in 100 different places. It comes out in 100 different places, but it starts in here. And
Oh, that's good.
if you're starting, uh, if you're starting from from a spot of negativity, you probably wind up in a spot of negativity. Now, here is maybe something that is worth a little discussion. I'm not necessarily saying that negativity would bring you failure. You might make that $1 million. You might get that big car, or you might sell that script or write that song, whatever it is. But did you ever see those people who you say, wow, that guy has so much more than I do? How come he's miserable? That's probably why, because he's not happy with himself. Now, he has all that other
Mhm.
stuff. And this is very, this is the stuff they make movies about, right? Where,
Yep.
oh, he looks like he has everything, but he's miserable. But he's not happy with himself. And what happens to that is, uh, you can't write a check big enough to cover that kind of grief and that kind of pain. So
That's good.
when you say, when your first question was, how much time do we spend on that? Oh, way too much time. Way too much time. Now, the antidote to that is a sense of camaraderie. And if you were to take that same grouping of people, and because you mentioned the word script, let's all look at that. Doesn't mean that has to be your
Hmm.
focus, but um, wow, my friend has a script and he needs a little help with that. Well, I'm not necessarily a writer, right? I'm the friend. I'm not necessarily a writer, but maybe I can maybe I can be a support system for him. Maybe I could read the script for him. Maybe he can borrow my computer, right? There's any number of ways you could be supportive. Maybe this is the guy that you need to say to him, hey, let me take you out to lunch. Let's talk about your script, because I know you have no one else to talk to it about, because you've been burning the midnight oil writing this thing. There's so many ways to be an ally and to be a friend to someone with a creative force, as opposed to draining their energy and
Right.
making it competitive.
Amen to the amen. Um, we always have a choice. And sometimes, well, first of all, we got some folks who are joining us. I'm just here, we Bill and I just talking, just talking. Brenda Scott has joined us. Hi, Brenda. Envious, jealousy,
Yep.
all those are part of what we're talking about. But those are all wasted emotions. They're wasted because there's never a. Here's an important write down moment. There is never a positive outcome or a productive outcome when you plant seeds of envy or jealousy.
Right.
Those don't. When you plant those seeds, what kind of tree does it grow? Doesn't produce the kind of fruit you want to eat, that's for sure. And Brenda says give someone a hand up. That's true, but you could focus that amount of resentment or getting even moments, all that thought stuff in your brain takes up time. Time is the one thing we cannot get back. Even if we have terrible health, we can do something to get our health better. We can do
Hmm.
something, even if it's in a small increment. We can make it better. There are people who have lived incredibly productive lives with the inability to do a lot of things, but they chose to use their life very well and they focused on what was ahead. They kept focusing on what was ahead instead of let me get even with so and so. That is wasted time. You cannot get time back. But if you take that time and say, I'm going to surround myself with good, nourishing people, learning how to do something new, providing new things that I have. And I'm going to, and I tell you what, with every bad thing that has happened that has caused all this resentment, you've learned a lesson. And you can make the choice in that moment to say, something was stolen from me. It was an intellectual property. Next time, how do I protect that better?
Well, there's a proverb. I don't really recall what language it was in or where it came from, but Um, the the story is essentially every monster has a gift, and
Ooh.
what that means is just what you were saying. So, um, to make it a little more clear, there is a kind of an old Buddhist story, which um, it's kind of a
I'm so looking
just
writing that down right
an
now.
analogy. Yeah, what happens is the Buddha story goes like this. A guy says, "This is the worst day I've ever had. I sprained my ankle and I can barely walk." And the Buddhist says to him, "Well, we'll see." The next day, the guy comes back and says, "You're not going to believe this. This is the best day I've ever had. I sprained my ankle, went to the doctor, and I met this beautiful woman, and she makes me so happy. This is the greatest day of my life." And then the Buddhist says, "Well, we'll see." And then the next day, a week later, a month later, the guy says, "This is the worst day of my life. That beautiful woman broke my heart." He says, "Well, we'll see." Okay, the idea of the "we'll see," everything has a positive and a negative, and it depends on your perspective. And the idea of a monster having a gift is adversity makes you stronger, as they say, if it don't kill you, And there are people that really embrace that opportunity. And again, I think we both agree that on this show, we try to stay away from the greeting card, bumper sticker kind of feel good moments with the very typical sayings. The idea of every monster having a gift is it's going to be tough. Don't make no mistake about it. This doesn't mean you don't cry. This doesn't mean you don't grieve. This doesn't mean you don't have animosity and anxiety. You do, and you probably should. The idea is, does it crush you? Does it debilitate you? Does it take you out of the flow for too long? And that's the difference. This is not about being bulletproof. It's not about not having emotions. It's, as you said, people do you wrong, you're going to get mad. How could you not get mad?
Mm-hmm. And anger's okay.
Yeah, but are you going to stay mad so long that it stops you from doing everything else?
And something that you can do, because we always like to give you some alternative ways to use that anger, use that issue. I took a boxing class. I started boxing, and I remember my boxing teacher, who was a professional wrestler, and he was holding up. He goes, come on, you can hit power. I'll just, go ahead. Just let me have it as hard as you got. And he goes, who are you mad at?
Yeah.
And then he put me on the bag instead. It's like, okay, we're going to move you over here, but that is a place where you go, first of all, you feel better after you release all those endorphins and they're all flowing around. But secondly, there is a positive way to release the anger and the resentment. And instead of planting them in the ground and letting them grow into something, you release them out into the ether and they dissipate. It's something that happens. And you can still be angry at someone. Are people bad? Some people are. Some people are not going to like you. Some people are not going to have your best interest. Some people are going to see your gift for what it truly is and find a way to put you in a back room and steal it from you, all the while making you feel like you're special. Now, I call that the golden goose syndrome. And it happens in Music Row all the time, where someone is an incredibly gifted writer, many times female. They put them in a role of, I'm going to put you in the back room and I want you to write with all these people. And all these other people, they might be male, they might be more famous, they might be whatever. And they get all the credit for the writing of the song that the Golden Goose actually wrote.
Yes.
That happens a lot. It happens in businesses. It happens for, there is a show right now called The Morning Show.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, and the beautiful Asian assistant producer character had a great idea, and this big mogul, this Elon Musk character, kind of took it and ran with it. It was his company. He took it, but she didn't get the credit for it. And so she's still an underling, but it's her idea that's made him a billionaire.
Exactly.
And so they're trying to figure out how, and he said, I had no idea. And now they've worked it out in a way. Now we don't know what's going to happen. No spoiler alerts here, but It's interesting. They're doing exactly what we're doing on the show. They're finding a way to focus.
Yeah, and see, the show being called Dreamcasters, right? So
Mhm.
how does this affect your dream? Well, it affects it in a huge way because you we as we said before, if you need creativity for your dream, you certainly need clarity. And all the stuff we're talking about here just muddies up the water. I mean, it literally is throwing mud on your windshield. That's why I would
Mhm.
say the again, in my hypnosis practice, I just tell people all the time, I say it every day. All I'm doing is washing your windshield. That's how we're starting.
Mhm.
I'm not filling in the potholes and I'm not eliminating traffic. Okay. You're still going to have to drive around the potholes and you're still going to have to be careful in traffic. But now you can see it. You can see the traffic in the potholes. That's what I'm doing for you.
Mhm. Well, Elizabeth just joined us. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. I've got another shout out. It's interesting because this is what I told you I was going to tell you before the show. I said I got something to share with you. I have two very precious friends of mine, incredibly talented people, both of them incredibly talented music writers, whatever. She was in doing her makeup and getting ready for the day, listening, watching, but listening to Dreamcasters while she on her phone while she was getting ready. In the other room, her significant other, who is also her drummer, was also watching Dreamcasters at the same time. And I thought that was kind of cool. And then they were started talking about stuff and discussing the plans for the day and everything. He says, well, don't you remember like on Dreamcasters? And she said, what? He goes, I was watching it too. They had a lot of good things here. I wrote them down. And I thought, wow, how cool is that? How, that we get to impart something and people can respond like this.
We're almost famous.
Well, at least someone is paying attention to some of those 1, 2, 3 points because they are, Bill. I explained to everybody, I said, look, we're not telling you something that we haven't tried and put into practice. I go, you ended up at Madison Square Garden, but when you started in the music industry, you were not Madison Square adjacent.
Oh my goodness. I used to rehearse in a studio around the corner, which, believe me, I mean, you would watch the rats run up and down the hall. I'm not exaggerating.
Mhm.
I used to walk past with the guitar over my shoulder, and I can actually feel the neon light from the marquee. And I would walk past that and down 2 blocks and around the corner into a neighborhood at the time that you really didn't even want to park your car there. And so I would say, if nothing else, I would never call myself the most talented singer or bass player or guitar player or writer or any of those things. I would not put myself in the top 10 of any of those things because you and I both know people that are so brilliant that it dwarfs anything that I would do. But I would say I was the hardest working. I would say I
Mhm.
worked as hard as any of those people. I would say I used my brain power, because I realized that there were certain things you shouldn't do, as well as the things that you had to do. And every time we talk about Madison Square Garden, I feel myself kind of well up a little bit
Mhm.
because I know what it was like to be 19,
Mhm.
looking at that saying, that's what I want to do. And it took till I was whatever I was, 57 to do it, right? That was okay with me, worth the wait.
Yeah.
Um, that's kind of what we're talking about in the sense of when I knew other people that did the same when I was 35, I cheered them on. I was inspired by that. I was not intimidated by that. I didn't hate them. There was no resentment. I was just doing what I was doing. And I think that has worked well for me because, again, I certainly am not the most talented guy in the world, but I probably was the hardest working musician anybody's ever known.
You are. I will second that emotion. I'm telling you, you are one of the hardest working people, and you and I have both watched people come and go in this business and move way ahead in this business. We've also watched people fall like big lead stones from the top of the heap, too. And the bottom line is what somebody else is doing is none of your business unless you can learn from them. You can spend all of your time, and every time you go, so and so got a song cut on Garth Brooks and I didn't. I had a song on hold, but he didn't cut my song. Well, getting mad at Garth and getting mad at the producer and getting mad at the other songwriter will never get you a song cut by that person. But what it will do, it will affect your well-being so much so that you probably won't write a song like that. You won't write a song that day. And as long as that's in your spirit, you probably won't write anything very good for a long time. And that's the thing. You end up where you focus. And I'll bring it back to there. I have a dear friend who is a songwriter who has had some success, but it's been a little while. But it's been a while. And a lot of conversations that I've had with them in the past, I don't know how long, it was like, well, I write stuff better than that. And I don't think they're very good. And all of this stuff sucks now. And everybody, well, if you think everything sucks now and everything is bad and nothing is good, and you might as well go eat worms, you literally cannot think about getting your song recorded by one of these people. See, these are the people making the music. Now, if you hate them all so much, trust me, that energy is never going to get one of your songs cut. Never, ever, because somehow when you put that evil out there, you put that, and negativity like that is evil. When you put that out there, it's going to be the big stumbling block to the big dream. But if you go, how do I fit into this new world? How do I write something that's undeniable? How do I write a better song? How do I get to know people better? How do I present something positive? Those are ways to get to your dream. You end up where you focus.
There is I got all kinds of little sayings and things today, which should surprise no one, But one of the things I like to say is this: you can come from a position of power. Now, a position of power does not imply that you're some CEO wearing a three-piece suit and intimidating people. What a position of power means is this: if I want your attention, I can be like a little kid and throw a tantrum. I guess I can get your attention that way, but that's probably not the way you want to do business, right? So how can I find a way to get your attention? Well, if I am, in my case, I'm a talker. Again, no surprise to our audience, but when I'm in a room with people that I want to be with, who I think can help me, I'm the first one to say I'm an opportunist. That does not mean I'm doing something wrong or something underhanded. I go with my strong suit and I talk, and maybe I make them laugh, or I say something interesting, something that they would be interested in. Now, that's getting your foot in the door. I'm coming from a position of power in the sense that I'm presenting myself in a way that at least won't get rejected. That doesn't mean you have, you're immediately accepted, but you put your best foot forward. When you come from a position of power and you live your life that way, you start to realize what works for you and what doesn't. Frankly, there are people who can write scripts and write songs and cook a gourmet meal, but they don't speak so well. They're not a public speaker. Then don't do it, or learn how to do it. But certainly don't make yourself sound, bad. Don't put yourself behind the eight ball. Come from a position of power in everything you do, and you start to realize. I've said this before on the show, and I will say it again. I am very proud of some of my accomplishments. I have a long way to go in a lot of things. Trust me, I eat far better than I cook. I just can't cook. I mean, I'm trying to learn. So if I want to impress you, it's not going to be with my chicken salad. I'm telling you that right now, right? The idea of coming from a position of power is it does tighten the circle. It does get you closer to the bullseye, okay? There are things you should do, and there are things that you shouldn't do. Don't don't put yourself in a position where you're already lagging.
Ah,
Play to your strength and come from a position of power. Stand up straight, look someone in the eye, shake the hand, all of that stuff that you learned when you were a kid, and present yourself as following. Hey, look, I'm a songwriter. I have 3 songs that I think you should hear. I will tell you right now, I didn't have any huge budget, but I'm not making any excuses. I think these are good songs. If you'd like them, they'll be on your desk tomorrow. That's a lot different than saying, well, I kind of wrote these songs. I mean, you're probably not going to like them. I mean, they're really, there's no production value, but I mean, I'm just trying to do the thing. And
yeah. In this town, it's just a rough vocal, and it's just a rough guitar vocal, and
exactly.
this is just a work tape. This is just, it's not produced. You probably don't hear it, but
Right. So here I am. I'm the guy that you're trying to impress. Did that conversation impress me? It certainly did not, because you didn't come from a position of power. And what I mean by power is direct, forthright, put your best foot forward, say what's good about it. Don't apologize for what you're doing. Nobody has to apologize for their creativity.
Ooh, y'all, write that down. You don't have to apologize for your creativity. Amen. Hallelujah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a sculptor, I don't know anything about sculpting.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a sculptor and I look at your piece of work, even if I don't know anything about it, I have to look at it and say, my goodness, that took a lot of time and effort, and I can't do it. So obviously you're doing something right. It comes from a sense of appreciation. And I think what happens in the creative world is we have a tendency to appreciate the other person sometimes more than ourselves. Right. The show isn't good enough. The song isn't good enough. I can't get my song placed because everybody else is terrible, and they're biased, and they don't like me because I have long hair. They don't like me because I have short hair. You don't value yourself.
They misjudge me because I have blonde hair. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it never happens. I'm just simply saying you have to find a way to put yourself in a position of power and say, you know what? This is what I would say in my head. I wouldn't necessarily say this out loud. You know what? I'm going to be the first guy with a ponytail that you ever hired. I know you didn't like the last 99. That's going to change now. You know what? I'm 65 years old. I'm going to be the oldest writer you've ever hired, and you're not going to regret it. That's the kind of things that I say.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I do say it out loud. And I think when you take that approach, again, when I say, I always look at it in terms of the bullseye on a dartboard. It's like, well, no, there's the outer ring, and then you get a little practice, and you get a little closer. Everything is getting closer. It's not that you're throwing bullseyes every time, but you're getting closer to the target because you're refining your presentation. And that's so good. From a position of power. So.
And you're learning every single time someone kicks you down. You're learning a better way to present yourself. You're learning a different way. You're learning the different kinds of people to go to. That is you create your team that helps you get there. Elizabeth says, my life was absolutely crazy insane when I'd compare my spot in life to others. I will always be better off focusing on doing my thing rather than denigrating someone else for their path. Woo, that's big, Elizabeth. That is really, really, really good.
Well, can I brag on you for a minute? I know we don't have too much time, but my good friend Devon, who, again, just to remind you, we have known each other longer than either one of us care to admit, and Devon, with one of her many talents, is being a legitimate songwriter with hit songs. Now, you told me the story about how you were pitching. For those of you that know what pitching, you essentially take your song to somebody who can place it with an artist or a publisher or whatever that may be. And you had a slew of songs that you were taking, and the person that you presented it to liked the first song. Do you know what the story I'm talking about? Would you mind just giving everybody a taste of that? Because that to me is almost exactly what I'm thinking about when I say coming from a position of power. So I'll let you take it.
Well, typically people who pitch songs take about 3 to 5 songs in. I took a little shoebox with 35 songs on tape. And then I was pitching to Barry Beckett, incredible keyboardist from Muscle Shoals, who was the sound of everything. And I was pitching songs for At that time, it was a song for Hank Jr. I hadn't done a lot of pitching, but it was for Hank Jr. And I took a song in, and I had the one that I believed that would be the perfect song. And so I played it first, and he went, "I love it. I'm going to put that on hold." He goes, first of all, he said, "How many songs do you have?" I said, 35. And he said, "Oh my God, I can't listen to 35 songs." I go, "That's okay. Listen to this one." And he said, "I want it. That's it. We're going to cut this on Hank." And he says, "Are you going to play me something else?" I said, "Nope, I'm done." That was it.
Right.
Because that was going to determine if I need. I said, "You got one. That's it."
Yeah. So just so I can bring this into focus for everybody, including me. So here is all of us can call Devon our dear friend, whether it's near and far or just in the audience.
Thank you.
In this one quick story, she mentions Barry Beckett. If you don't know who he is, look him up. I met him with you one time at the Longhorn, I guess, and
Yeah.
I almost turned into a puddle.
Yeah.
So
one of the greatest keyboardists of all time. So.
Oh yeah, and then went on to
Yeah.
have a tremendous influence in a lot of people's careers. So in Devon's quick story here, Barry Beckett and Hank Jr. are the names that come up in her life. So for those of us who don't necessarily cross those names, this is always a good education. It's always an inspiration to hear a Devon O'Day story.
Well, it's interesting because that became a single, his first single off that project, and it was one of the first things that I had ever really done. My first pitch session, my first single, my first song that I co-wrote with other people. And it was a song with Michael Bornheim and Jerry House, and I pitched it. It became a single. It had a video. Faith flew in. My sister flew in to be in the video. It was like, wow. But again, you end up where you focus. I was focused. I go, okay, we wrote this song. I think it sounds good for Hank Jr. I made the appointment. I showed up on time with a clean shirt.
Yeah, my favorite.
As Bill would put in his book. And played the song. They did it. And it went through all. Does it always happen like that? No. Do you always get an audience with Barry Beckett? And I use that metaphorically. If our world, no. But I have other stories, and that's for another show, about how you focus on it. And your intention is, I'm going to get a song recorded today.
Exactly. And so what this brings us to, I know we're coming to the end of the show, is this is the perfect example. Devon's story is the perfect example of having vision, having clarity, having creativity, putting it in motion, the power of intention, and coming from a position of power where you said, there's this whole big scary world out there of musicians and producers that cut everybody down to size. Here is one. You like it? I'm done. Oh, can I hear more? No, not right now. Well, get back to me in a month. Let's get this one out of the way. You grab this thing by the throat, this thing, this scenario. And that's nothing short of brilliant. And I hope our audience takes that. It's not so much that it became a hit song. I mean, that's phenomenal. That's the end of the story. But that middle part, that where the wave crested, was you taking that moment and saying, I got what you need. Here it is. We don't need to talk about anything else. That's the ultimate in the art of war. That's the ultimate in the art of the deal.
And I was young. I didn't even know I didn't even know. Oh, Elizabeth, I was waiting, because that's my favorite saying, keep doing the next right thing and good things will come your way. Amen to the hallelujah. Yes, indeed.
Perfect.
That's where it starts. You keep doing the right thing, and the next right thing, and the next right thing, and the next right thing. And if you do a wrong thing, just don't focus on the wrong thing. Say, okay, shake the dust off your feet and go, you know what? I'll do it better next time. Exactly. That's what DreamCasters is all about. You guys, if you're having trouble letting go of some of the past resentments, I tell you who's a master at helping you get rid of those icky things in the back that you can't let go of. Hypnosis is amazing for that. It is amazing for that. And moving you into a path of positivity, getting what you want, ending up where you're focused. You do not want to focus on that person who's done you wrong, because that's all you will keep getting and attracting to you. You want to focus on the thing that God has waiting for you, literally around the corner. And you can be the monkey that keeps holding the banana that's stuck inside the log and he can't pull it out, when there's 25 banana trees behind him.
Yeah.
Or you can let go of the banana.
Well, I encourage all of the people watching here, by all means, if you think I can help you, give me a call. Like, you can go to my website, which is shown there, bchypno.com. I would love to help. I give you a free consultation on your first phone call, so you know exactly what's going on. And Devon, as always, thank you for the shout out here.
Always, because I believe if I'm going to give a shout out to somebody, I'm going to tell you this is something I believe in. And I totally endorse you and what you do. And I am grateful every day that you are. I've known Bill Cinque. I think I was 18 years old when I met you. So you've been a part of my sister's life and my life for most of our lives. So we're just all part of it. Y'all have given me the motivation for the day. I love that. Thank you.
Beautiful, Brenda.
And Elizabeth says, the wrong thing doesn't define us. It's a blip on the road. Oh, I love that. And where was the thing? Oh, Elizabeth, I love this. You both impart great information, not just for dreams, but for all of life. Oh, that's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping. Well, you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. We'll see you next Tuesday. Either live. We won't be live next week. We won't be live next week because where are you going?
I'll be in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, that's right. You're going on a cruise.
I'm doing a rock and roll cruise ship. Yeah, I'm doing a rock and roll cruise ship, which I do from time to time, and it's going to be a blast.
Okay,
I'll come back and talk about it the week after.
Perfect. And so we will have a pre-taped or an encore coming up next Tuesday, but we will have a show here. Who are you going to be playing with on this cruise?
Well, let's see. I will be playing with the Uber producer manager, Peter Asher, who was a member of Peter and Gordon way back, and then went on to produce Linda Ronstadt and James Taylor and Carole King and Joni Mitchell. Produce and or manage would be and Neil Diamond actually did a couple of Neil Diamond records as well. I've been fortunate enough to be Peter's bass player for, I think it's 18 years now. And so we do that, and we'll be with a bunch of other great acts, including Al Jardine from the Beach Boys, a whole bunch of folks. So it's going to be fun. It's a concert at sea, and there's music from 10 in the morning till 1 in the morning every day. It's craziness, and it's a ball.
That just sounds so much fun. So much fun. Well, you guys can follow BillCinque.com as well, and to find out all of his music, and his book is available on Amazon. Just put his name in at Amazon, and it'll pop up. And the audio version is the one I recommend highly because you want to hear him speak the words.
Thank you.
Because that'll be a lot of fun.
It's all available on my website. Yeah, thank you.
Well, y'all have a great rest of your day. This is DreamCasters, and a big shout out to Sarah Beth and Sean if you guys are watching. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Sarah Beth and Sean.